I'm Margaret Ann Windsor, and I'm the daughter of Edward VIII. And my father, King Edward VIII, was married to Claudia Ruth O'Keefe Windsor. They were married in 36. She was the Queen of England. My father would not go along with the Illuminati, which is the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Bilderbergers. Um, well, part of my own family, which is George VI, who they put into power when they took my father down with character assassination. He was married to my mom. He was never married to Wallace Warfield Simpson. She married a double. There were several imposters claiming to be my father. She married one of them. They became the illegal Duke and Duchess of Windsor. And I was born. My father planned to come back. He never planned to give up his job as King of England, of Great Britain. So he had an addendum or an attachment that's legal that stated should he have an heir, the heir would not disinherit, the heir would inherit. So the minute I was born in 1939, I'm Queen Victoria II, the legal queen now. So this woman is a fake and a fraud, and so was her father, that the Illuminati took down my father and replaced with her father George VI, married to her mom, who was a Rothschild, very close relative of the Rothschilds that control money, helped kidnap me. She's always known the truth, and now then supposedly she is going to abdicate in favor, in a couple of years, in favor of Charles. He's waited so long. I'm going to say it again. I thought you had to be the monarch to be able to abdicate, and you're a fake lineage, and I don't really know. I guess she's a Windsor. I hate to say it, but anyway, I put that up, and I wanted to address, they've all lived great. I mean, look it up. And by the way, I want to put this up now. I think I put this up on, they were on the list. I'm sure they were. Oh, I'm sure they were. The Obamas are part of the Illuminati that kidnapped me. The Freemasons, your mafia, your global government, that after they took my father down, because he would not take their orders, that is when the treaties were signed that allowed the United Nations to exist today. And that's who your global government is the one that you speak of, that in the Bible, Revelations, and the chipping. I didn't know, and having to have a chip to eat in the end times and the beast and all this. I had no idea when I was writing this book in Marietta in 76, 78, Larry Flint was shot. And nearby Lawrenceville, I lived in Marietta at Moonraker Apartments. Now look up Moonraker Apartments, and I was doing the book there. MD, a License to Kill, about mind control, and the Tesla files that were stolen in 30, and the fact that you could create an illness or cure an illness way back then. And the files that were stolen had so much more in them, and I've put some of that up, but I'm trying to get this one up today. And anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put this because you can Google this too. President Trump, well, he's now president. I hope he's not part of the Illuminati, the Freemasons, the Mafia. His uncle, John George Trump, was MIT professor, and now you can go, I had no idea any of this. I certainly didn't know Trump was going to become president, who I like. I just hope he's a real deal and he's not part of them, the Illuminati. Now, she's one of them, very wealthy. Wonder how she got that way, right? She should be in prison. You talk about Adolf Hitler, and you leave out Roosevelt, the president. You leave out Winston Churchill. You leave out Truman and Eisenhower and By the way, there's Woody Woodrow Wilson, which I am pretty sure, from my information I have researched and the things that happened, that he was part of taking out the Russian, the Soviet, when it was all this happened, the war, and the killing of Tsar Nicholas and his family. This was Anastasia up here in Charlottesville that was murdered. And all that was left of her was, she was married to Professor Monahan, and he tore down drove his car into the fence trying to get her out. You know where they put her. And that was illegal, but it was done. So, anyway, before I lose my train of thought, I think that I'm pretty sure that Woody Woodrow Wilson from Stanton, Virginia, which is near Charlottesville, was he was president then, and he was close friends of Eleanor Roosevelt and the Roosevelts and the Illuminati, the United Nations that was beginning or had been formed by that time. I'm going to switch now because I'm going to run out of time if I don't. I want to get to this, and then I want to get into something else here, or I might as well go ahead and say it. A friend of mine on Facebook, very beautiful lady. I'm not going to name her because from the looks of what I can see, they've tried to take her down off of it because she's told the truth, a gutsy lady. And this one, I went on the group that she had it up on to read it, and so help me when I started to. She put a YouTube up there you can go to and hear it, YouTube on video. Excuse me, a video on YouTube. I'm trying to get all this in real quick before I run out of space. But all heck broke loose when I tried to reply to her. I don't know what was going on there. I was just going to say thank you for posting it. Anyway, this is about the government, when the governments, more than one, all of them, signed Global Migrant Act. Now, a minute, I'm going to put this up here. That's what I've been telling about. The Illuminati that took down my father, your global government, that came to be when they placed the troops in the UK, Eisenhower, Churchill, the Church of England, Cosmos Lang. How many got in on the takedown of my father because he was honest and he wouldn't go along with them? Took out my mom, replaced her with a lie. My father's married to my mom. Wallace Simpson, American Spy, married a double, claiming to be King Edward VIII, which was a lie that became the illegal Duke and Duchess of Windsor. I was born in 1939, kidnapped, and I've put this up just now so there's no need going over it. I'm going to show you this part. But I did want to say that the global government, I didn't know it was going to lead me to this. These treaties came into being when they took out my father in 1936. So Roosevelt appointed Joe Kennedy, JFK's father, ambassador to England, 1936. Take a look at the timelines. And that's when the Jews came back to Israel. And in 1937, after they'd taken my father out with character assassination, they had Wallace in 1937 marrying the double, calling himself my father. And my father, King Edward VIII, is married to my mom, and they were still alive and married to each other in October the 20th of 1986. They were quite elderly, both of them, but they were still alive and married to each other. So this fraud and takedown of the attempt to take down the British government, the British Empire. Okay, and they kidnapped me, the monarch, and take down my father. So I've made it clear there. the treaties and all that were signed that allowed all this to happen. Now your UN is right there, your global government in New York, where Rockefeller Plaza that controls your media and the headquarters for Rockefeller. And by the way, a lot of this fundraising money that Hillary and Bill made when she ran for the presidency this last time was funneled or given through there. And her emails just, I mean, this was a joke, what they've done. If you go and Google Hillary Clinton, by the way, her daughter Chelsea got to go to Oxford. How's that? And thanked her father. The thing that she thought he accomplished and she liked the most was sending, I don't know if it's Mitchell or Bennett was his name, over to Northern Ireland to sign a peace treaty or broker it. Well, golly gee, I thought that would have been me if something was going to be brokered. They didn't even bother with Elizabeth, they just bypassed her or whoever. And this is what little Chelsea, who, by the way, married a Jew. And I'm going to go ahead and say that you've called me every name in the book, and they're the ones that kidnapped me, helped kidnap me. Well, granted, this is ongoing. By the way, I had a letter from the FBI, June the 23rd, my father's birthday, 79. I thought it was because of the book I was writing about mind control, the Tesla files, all this, and programming people. Then I find out when I'm flown out to Mr. Flint's in 83 about my real name and everything. And the reason I was flown out there was because Larry McDonald, Dr. Congressman from Atlanta, Piedmont Hospital, was supposed to have gone down in the KAL that was shot down by the Russian MiG when it veered 10 miles into the airspace. The pilot, I can tell you that, was programmed. And if you want to add more security and you want to take rifles and guns away, you can forget it, because they can program the security guard or the U.S. Marshal that's aboard, or the Marshal that's supposed to protect you, and he can come out shooting. Just like you can put the sheriff's deputy or whoever down at Parkland School or any of the others, and after these shootings that were mind control. And by the way, the one that does the shooting is victims himself. He's been programmed. He has no idea. He has no control over it. Anyway, you add security and they can do it, or they can just end up, you're already under global control. You just don't know it yet. You should. I'm going to show you this. This was about what I was writing about. And by the way, I wanted to address this to Michelle Obama, who has got a new book coming out, and you've never seen the press they're giving to her, and as they gave to Stormy Daniels. And Oprah, she merely shows up in Georgia, and the media's all over it, anything she says. How about my book? It's probably one of the most important books you could have ever had to read. The last I heard of it after I was almost killed, I mean, come on, and destroyed me and my sons, who are heirs after me, by the way. I kept the safety deposit box with the letter from the FBI. I had two. And where the book had gone before publishers and et cetera, et cetera. So I had a lot of other documents, a certificate and other stuff in there too. Well, after these years and all that happened in 85, I sent, and it was on time, I sent it to Burt Lance Bank on Windy Hill Road near Urban Medical Hospital, where I used to work in 73, okay. 73, 74, I think. Anyway, it was taken from Burt Lance. He was a member of the council, Jimmy Carter, who was Georgia governor, then president. And it was removed from the safety deposit box there illegally. And they sent my check back, by the way. Did they send my check back? No, they didn't. They kept it. if I'm correct there. I paid it on time, and they took the book and all that was with it in my safety deposit box and said it was for safe keepings. I've never heard anything from it again. Now, my book, Michelle, who are all the others that have gotten books that this Illuminati press has been their agent and publicity agent and all this for? And besides all the running around after Meghan and Harry, and that Charles has waited too long and to become king, and his mom here, Lizzie Borden, is going to abdicate. Well, first you have to be the monarch to abdicate, and she's a fake and a fraud. She's a criminal. Now, I'm going to get to this. I'm going to show this, though. A church sent this up to me. I was actually living on the Appalachian Trail up here and trying to survive freezing and starving. They were told not to help me. This is, I put it up before, implantable biochips. And I'm not going to get this up. I don't want to do another one because you just lose. It's talking about cashless electronic debit system, which is in play now. The mark of the beast. It's got biochips will be agencies by which all financial transactions are required. You'll have to have the mark of the beast, the chip that I've been talking about. They've been putting in people and in heart bypasses, in root canals. Now then, I'm going to skip down to here. That's what they're talking about. No one will be excluded from having to take his mark without facing the death penalty. A truly do or die situation. My good friend, well, I'm not going in there. I'm just going to show this biochip. This is I had said this prior because these murders I tell about were deliberately done in pattern, just like Larry Flint was shot while I was doing the book. He was shot in Lawrenceville, Georgia, near Marietta, where I was doing the book and had lived and was living. So I was writing about it, and this is, they were done in pattern. So I'd already said Timothy McVeigh. He was put to death, by the way. Here's what he says. Timothy McVeigh complained that the U.S. Army implanted a computer chip in his buttocks. And then in England in 1995, a Buckingham Palace spokesman said that young Prince William, heir to, well, he's not the heir, he's a phony, throne had a microchip implanted somewhere in his anatomy to discourage would-be kidnappers. I wonder if I had one in me when I was kidnapped in 41, because it goes way back to the Tesla files. Anyway, Timothy McVeigh was in the Army, just like the Marine that they're calling all kinds of names and blaming it on his being in the service, when I bet you he's got a chip, because he couldn't have done this if he didn't. This is done in a pattern that if you get it up there, there's some of them you can't deny it. Trouble is, they won't get it into court. They'd probably come handcuff me and finish me off before they'd allow me to go out to Scott Peterson's and testify or give a deposition. Scott Peterson's on death row, and he won't be alive long if something isn't done to help him. Now, where did I get? I was going to turn this over. Project Lucid. Well, anyway, Tex Mars has written a lot of books. There was Tex Mars and somebody else named Mars. It's still alive, I believe. Anyway, they're talking about it's the end times here, Revelations. I'm putting this up because this is what I was telling. Now then, the whole thing in what government signed global migrant action or signed into law. It's the without borders, which they've invaded. The United States used my government because they took down my father, who